The Democratic Party has shown time and again that they are cowards and that they won't even stand up for their principles or put up a fight against Republicans when they're in power. But now, with Republicans in control of both houses of Congress and Donald Trump in the Oval Office, I am fully expecting them to lay down flat and die and not put up a fight at all. However, there's one person who is trying to prevent that from happening. His name is Bernie Sanders, and he explains on Al Sharpton's show on MSNBC what he's going to do to kick their ass and get them motivated to fight.
What can Democrats do? Because everywhere I travel, Senator, people are saying the Democrats are not showing any backbone. You're one of the few even standing up fighting. I mean, what can be done in a parliamentary way and what could be done from a bully pulpit way to resist this stuff?
Well, we have got to do everything that we can to resist these horrific nominations that Trump has brought forth. I mean, they are the worst. They're almost unimaginable, the kind of people he's bringing forth. You got a guy he's proposing to head the EPA who does not believe in environmental protection, et cetera, et cetera. Right. This is what I am trying to do, is among many other things. I am trying to revitalize the Democratic Party and get this party to be a party that doesn't simply go out to wealthy people's homes raising money, but becomes a grassroots party. And that's why I'm supporting Keith Ellison to be the new chair of the Democratic Party. The good news for us, Al, is on issue after issue, whether it is raising the minimum wage, whether it is pay equity, whether it is climate change, whether it is moving toward health care for all, the American people support a progressive agenda, not giving tax breaks to billionaires and cutting Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. So on next Sunday, we are going to be holding rallies all across this country. For the first time, Democratic senators are going to be out in a coordinated way. Members of the House are going to be out with the unions, with senior groups, right, with Planned Parenthood, because they want to defund Planned Parenthood. We are going to bring people together. We're going to get people calling up, emailing senators and members of Congress and tell them, no, you are not going to cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid and give tax breaks to billionaires.
I'm going to get back to you.
Democrats are going to have to reach out to the many, many millions of people who are independents today. A lot of people, Al, are not enthusiastic about the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. Too many of them are voting Republican. It means more diversity, bringing more African-American leadership, more Latino leadership into the Democratic Party, more women into the Democratic Party. We need more, not less. But what we have also got to do is talk about fundamental economic issues. It is not acceptable that the top 0.1% owns as much wealth as the bottom 90%. That is an issue that impacts everybody. We got to rebuild our infrastructure, create millions of jobs. We got to make public colleges and universities tuition free. That's a black issue. It's a white issue. It's a Latino issue. It's a Native American, Asian American issue. It impacts everybody. So, Al, there is, and I know I've been criticized for this, and it hurts me, and I don't like it. We need not less diversity. We need more diversity. But we got to bring our people together, all of our people, to say that we're going to create a damn government that represents all of us and not just the 1%. And that's how I believe we do it.
So Bernie Sanders has two main strategies. One is to get them to actually leave Washington, D.C. and go out and talk to people, talk to their constituents. What a crazy idea, right? Speaking to the people who you represent. And two, he wants to bring more people into the party. Now, if I had a strategy, this would be my strategy because I think it's the right strategy. So going out and talking to constituents, this is something that's a no-brainer. It's common sense. It's what I fully expect public officials to do. And when you look at other countries, they often do talk to their constituents. It's really odd that we have a bunch of elites in Washington, D.C. that never leave Washington, D.C. They come home, they make a speech, and then they leave. But it's very rare for them to actually get out and have real conversations with real voters. They would rather get cozy with liberal elites and go to billionaire fundraisers. And that is something that communicates to the American people that you're not on their side. And Democrats cannot get this through their skull. So I'm glad that Bernie Sanders is finally showing them, look, even if you're not corrupt, which all of them are, but even if you're not, think of the optics. You're not talking to your constituents, yet you're hanging out with liberal elites. That looks really bad. Get your shit together, get out there, go to your district, go to your state, and talk to people. Talk to the people who put you in office and find out what they want. Stop taking calls from donors for maybe like 5 minutes and actually talk to the people who voted for you. This is a strategy that's common sense. Finally, Bernie Sanders said it. It shouldn't have to be said, but Bernie Sanders said it, and I'm very thankful for that. Now, also, bringing more people into the party, this is something that it's a no-brainer. This is what political parties do. I mean, this is their number one goal. Your objective as a party is to grow and bring more people in so that way you could win more often. The DNC had the opposite strategy. They tried to drive people out of the party. So if you weren't a true Democrat, if you were an independent, even though you were liberal, well, you had no business voting in our primaries. This was the attitude that Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Hillary Clinton had. They celebrated closed primaries. We found this out in John Podesta's emails. So you can't have this attitude. If you want to grow as a party, if you want to win, if you want to defeat an easily beatable party who complete and utterly sold out to corporations, then you have to grow the party by excluding people and telling them that if you're not a true Democrat, if you weren't in the party for 25 years like me, because I'm 150 years old, well, then you can't be with us. You can't caucus with us, and don't even bother voting for us. Well, when you put out that message, it will resonate. Voters know if they're not wanted. Voters know if you try to shun them, and you did try to shun them. So I think that the strategy is brilliant. Now, that first portion of what he said is really important because when you call up politicians, when you speak to politicians, that really humanizes us as constituents, and they realize, oh, these are people that are actually suffering that I'm ignoring. And I thought that Keith Ellison made a really good point on MSNBC when he talked about the power that we have to simply just make a phone call and what that does to our elected officials. Take a look.
You know, this is one of the most important lessons to learn in a democracy. Calling your congressman works. It actually does.
Do you get a lot of calls?
We get a ton of calls, but when they start concentrating on a particular subject, we focus our attention on that subject. I mean, the thing is, I've had folks call me on horse slaughter, for example, and we got to dig into it and figure out what's going on. But when it's a big topic, immigration, ethics reform, when it's a big topic, you know, minimum wage, stuff like that, we really do drive based on what our constituents are telling us. So I tell people, you know, every single member of Congress and every state legislature and city council knows who put them in office and who can take them out. And if you exert your power, you can make a big difference.
So I absolutely love that Bernie Sanders is working so hard to reform the Democratic Party. Now, I don't know if he's going to be successful. That's the problem. He has the right strategy, but lots of people within the party have sold out entirely. You have people that will talk the talk, like Cory Booker, but behind the scenes, they're voting for things that their donors want almost exclusively. So, I mean, what Bernie Sanders is trying to do is polish a turd and try to make it not stink anymore. But I don't know if that's possible. So, you know, I appreciate what Bernie Sanders is doing, but unfortunately, I'm not very optimistic that it will resonate with Democrats, and I think it's probably just going to fall on deaf ears. So we'll see what happens, but this is the right strategy, and if they don't wake up, they're going to lose a lot of voters and be defeated again and again to Donald Trump and the Republicans.
Support this podcast by joining the independent progressive media revolution today at humanistreport.com.